Hi, my name is Randall, and this is my analysis on Everyday Use by Alice Walker. Um, the story was interesting. I'm really not a huge fan of looking back into what life was like for black people coming out of slavery and Civil War era, Civil Rights era. Um, to be alive back then is to be alive with a lot of struggles, a lot of internal struggles, a lot of things that you don't want to know. Um, or things that you've seen you don't want, you wish you hadn't seen. It does shape your life. It does affect the way that you live. Some things that I was looking at in the story that were really interesting were a couple points. Number one, I really like the way they described um, the chairs out front. I guess it was the chairs in a dining room. Excuse me. When you sit in them long enough for your butt to make a groove in them. I had a chair like that. My parents bought me one when I was a kid, and it was my desk chair for homework, and it had grooves in it. But over time, the butt prints just got bigger. Um, anyhow, that's just one thing that stood out to me. Um, some other things that were really, really big to me, like Maggie being nervous until her sister goes. The way that her sister D being so narcissistic and so commanding, controlling of her environment. Her ideas were so big and liberated and all that good stuff, but then she comes in and she wants to, people feel intimidated, and I think she was intimidated as well. D was coming from a place where she's free to do what she wants to do, making her own choices, and yet she comes back to an oppressed environment and wants to take relics from that environment into her existing environment. She wants to take the quilt, she wants to take the clabber and the top for the churn. I mean, this lady is so attached, but afraid to say it, afraid to admit it. But as they say, everybody comes home, and you never leave. You never really officially leave it. It's always a part of you. Um, so anyhow, the argument about the quilts is really powerful. When she was saying, hey, I want these. I'm going to decorate, and I'm going to, hang them up. Don't let Maggie just keep them in and then just lay them down on the bed. Well, the point of a quilt is to sleep under it. Understandably, the quilt could be destroyed. However, the point of a quilt is to sleep on it, and that's what I would have done. I would have slept on it. Anyhow, some other points, some other, I guess, kind of themes in there is, Mama getting ready for Maggie to leave to go get married. John Thomas with mossy teeth. That sounds disgusting. It sounds like an arranged marriage. It was very popular in the country. A lot of people got married. You had a guy who couldn't get a woman, and you had a woman who couldn't get a guy. I mean, obviously, Maggie was burned, and she had some mental issues. Might have been light stuff, but it was still mental issues. So they had to get put together, and that's the part of life that is considered. I consider that oppressive. I consider that a good way to live. Anyhow, there's a couple other things that stood out to me. When they described D changing her name from D, which is DC, or DC, I haven't pronounced it, to Wanjero. Well, that movement was huge in the 70s, and I got to see a lot about it growing up. I was born in '83. However, seeing people that are just older than me that were expressing themselves that way and wearing African clothes and shouting and chanting, all that kind of stuff, it was there, and it might have been important to D, but to me it was her way to escape from reality, even though she's still holding on to her past. I mean, everything that made her. If you really think about D and her need to come back, but her shame of where she came from. I think I look at that dynamic and I'm like, well, D, on the one hand, had she never been there, she might not have been so revolutionary. She might not have had any pressure to be revolutionary. She might not have had any pressure to change. She became who she was because she was in an environment where she had a reason not to be like everybody else in that environment. It made her popular. It made her cool. It made her somewhat more confident, maybe stronger. And what I saw was a good pressure that was on her caused her to change, and at the same time, filled with a lot of hate because she wanted things she couldn't have at the time. Well, now she's gotten them, and yet she's still back to take a piece of the past with her. Anyhow, those are just some of the things that really stood out to me. And that's it. My name is Randall Cottrell, English 102 with Rebecca Duncan. Good read. Maybe I'd read the whole book. I don't know. I saw The Color Purple. Somewhat depressing movie. It's kind of depressing. I mean, it's horrible things that happen to people.